Hey everybody, thanks for jumping in today. I'm going to get started here in about 30 seconds. I just have to upload a quick file and then we'll be good to go here. I'm not going to take forever tonight. I'm just going to run through a couple of markets. A little bit late in the week. I apologize earlier. I was away on business and today was a very, very long day, long travel day. I was on the road for about 8 hours. From city to city, and I wasn't able to get in front of the charts as much as I would have liked to, unfortunately. But I am here now, so we'll get going here in about 30 seconds. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm going to get fired away here right now. So, markets for this week, as you can see, the U.S. dollar is the first on the hit list here, and had a nice explosive move off of this small consolidation area right here through a line. Price came down right about to the middle of this range right in here, and actually spiked down on this feed lower right down into here. So it actually kind of faked me out a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. I was actually on this candle right here. I was anticipating price to continue to roll through and then take out these lows right here. As you can see, it just had absolutely zero intention of doing that. Beautiful rejection, and then this candle right here. The next day, this week definitely wasn't an easy week to trade. This is Friday's candle. Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday set the low of the week. And then Tuesday put in a big rejection. And Tuesday kind of came off into an area where I was expecting some rejection to occur and then price to roll over and come down. And it didn't. It just the next day it posted a big, big up move on Wednesday. And then Thursday was kind of a do nothing sort of day. Obviously, price ran up, rejected, and closed higher on this feed here. So I would honestly expect price on, Friday being a end of the week. There's going to be some profit taking involved. I'm just going to actually drop down to an hourly chart here real quick, and just so I can kind of show you on Thursday. This was Thursday's trading. Price opened up, traded lower, created the high of the day right around New York Open, and then came off lower just to kind of fizzle out. It almost looked like a head and shoulders pattern, and then price is now gapped up to start Friday's trading, and we've since closed that gap in a couple hours ago, and then price is basically created a couple of equal highs in here, and so far has failed to go above this high in here. So we'll see what happens. Several levels underneath price right now. Obviously, price is fairly bullish, and as I was saying, into Thursday, probably some profit taking in here on Thursday. So going into Friday, I wouldn't expect a ton. We may get a run up above this high, these highs in here. That could be a possibility, and even retesting the lows in this small consolidation area over there. So that could be an area where we may see price want to reach up to. I doubt it. Again, it's Friday, so typically what happens is the majority of the range is put in, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Profit taking ensues, and then more than likely what ends up happening is you get retracement in the range from Monday's low to the high on Thursday, and it typically retraces about 20 or 30%. So we could finish off I wouldn't surprise me at all if we finished off the week somewhere in here. That honestly wouldn't surprise me. So that's kind of what I would imagine would happen. We may, like I say, we may get a quick surge up into here, but I definitely think we'll finish off lower as profit is taken on Friday, and it starts to run down a little bit. And Friday as well too is very, very void of any major news events. As you can see here, we've got the some MPC member news events, a speaker on the pound sterling early morning New York Open, and then there's some later in the day U.S. dollar prelim consumer sentiment news, and that's really about it. So it could be one of those interesting days where they either surge the market because everyone's taking the day off thinking that there's not going to be any news and no volatility, and that's when they really push the markets, or it could be a real snoozer of a day into Friday. But I would suggest that more than likely this range in here could get filled underneath these lows, and if that doesn't, then obviously I believe these highs right here will be the next target, and then the lows in here. So I'll just throw a couple of price tags up, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how high they'd want to go. Only just because this week actually surprised me, and like I say, it really did. I wasn't expecting a bull move like this. I was expecting softer price action, and actually, this move down here, they just rejected it, and like I say, and then they screamed it higher. So bit of a fake out, and it caught me off guard on, I believe it was Wednesday. Tuesday had come up, ran up into here, and then started to sell off. I was expecting a continuation lower, and then they just surged it up on Thursday, and then obviously, or surged it up on Wednesday, and then Thursday obviously put in that sideways day. So Euro, same type of idea. Monday came in, created the high, slammed up right into the lows of this consolidation area. Actually went a little bit higher, and that's kind of why I got faked out. Typically, if they're going to reject off of a level, what they'll end up doing is they'll only want to come about halfway into, like see this consolidation range in here, they typically only want to come about halfway into that. And as you can see with this wick here, on this feed as it is, they really surged price up in here on Monday, and so it was kind of an interesting move, and I was expecting higher prices and these highs to get taken out, and they just did a 180 and reversed. So there's lots of levels lower, especially if the dollar does get one more surge into Friday. The euro would definitely see some downside into here, and we'll probably, if we see some strength on the U.S. tomorrow, we'll be under these lows in here. That's what I would predict. So I'll just maybe run through here, and you can see on the way up, I mean, there's as they were driving price up, they didn't take liquidity anywhere. This was the low in here, and they just scooped the lows under here by about a pip or two. So it was just a quick fake out, and then they ran price higher and created higher lows all the way up, and they didn't bother to come down and scoop up any of those lows until what they just grabbed right there on today's price action. So almost an equal low. Whoops. See if I can get that. There we go. Price just came down about a pip and so forth. I would imagine it'll probably roll over, but there's a lot of liquidity spots under here, a lot of areas where traders have got their stops, and the algo will probably just continue to ding, 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 ding all the way down. And more than likely, and if it doesn't happen this week, more than likely it'll be next week, but I would at least expect, the very least, for them to come down and trade and scoop up these levels under here at the very least. If they do, in fact, want to continue higher, those levels I think would be definitely up for grabs. And if not, then we shouldn't see too much of a retracement from here. But anyway, that's kind of the euro. There's not a lot. I mean, like I say, I was kind of in and out of the markets for the past 2 days in business meetings, and I didn't. I was watching price. Today was absolutely a do-nothing day on euro and on the U.S. dollar. Pretty much a sideways day. It opened at right there. So that candle right there is where the day opened, and it closed just about maybe a pip or two lower on the day to close. And so it was a sideways day. If you look at it, it looks like a doji, as you can see right there. That's the candle right there. And a lot of people would signify that as a reversal candle. I'm not necessarily one of those people. It's kind of all relative, but price had come up here. It surged all the way up. It failed at this consolidation level here, and it's come back down now to test some lows. I wouldn't be surprised if they came back down a little bit deeper on this. They may start to go up from here. I like higher prices on the Euro USD. But unfortunately, with higher prices on the euro, we need to have lower prices on the dollar. And I just don't see that in the cards on the dollar. I expect more upside on the dollar. I really do. And I think these highs could be targeted here. That's just kind of what I'm feeling. I think this was, you see this in here. So price has been really just consolidating. So we made this high here, came back down, equal lows, came back up. It surged right up, and its price has just been sort of chopping sideways. Same type of price action down here, and you can see how it came down, created relatively equal lows, came down, scooped liquidity, failed in here, rolled up one more time, and then failed right down at these levels down here, and then surged. It could be exactly what we're looking at right here. Price come up, create a couple equal lows, surges one more time, comes back down, tries to get the lows, fails, runs up one more time, grabs the highs, kind of the same thing in here, runs back down one more time, failure swing underneath these, or fails to get lower than the body lows in here, and then surges up, and this may be the surge. Like this could be this, next move that we're seeing here. And if you go out to a weekly, let me just... how can I do this? Let me just do one real quick thing here. I'm going to just... Here, let me do this instead. I'm just going to find the index price. I just want a clean chart, but I want to come back to this one. Give me 1 second here, guys. Apologize. Okay. That's what I was looking for. So, if you go out to a weekly chart, as you can see, prices just come up and just scoop the old highs. Okay, came up a couple times, once, twice, and so far is rejected. But you see how on the weekly, these candles here have failed to go lower than here. I think this could be that failure swing that I was talking about. You can see it in here. Price ran up, made some lows, and then price really failed to go underneath those lows in this tight consolidation area here, and then they surged price. Well, typically we could end up getting a symmetrical swing. So price really would swing in I would expect a couple of surges into it. Kind of like right here. You see this big surge up right here. Price came in, surged once, and then came up and surged twice. I think that could be what we're getting in here. And, you know, just doing a symmetrical swing, if we took the highs to the lows, that would put us right back up into these areas up in here. And I think that's just kind of what we're doing. What they've been doing the past couple of weeks is just tightening up price and really building up sentiment and gathering positions in here. And they're just loading it up, and I think it's going to spring off one more time. And more than likely, we'll probably see dollars surge much, much higher again. Convincingly taking out these highs here, and I think it's just going to be like a domino. It's just going to start ticking off all of the old highs in here. It may not get back up here. I'm not suggesting that, but as I say, you know, symmetrical swing wise from the last swing low down here, and I'm just going to take the bodies. I'm not going to take anything, you know, too crazy or anything like that. And if this is the last swing low, right, then that could put us right back up into, you know, into these old lows in here. And that's kind of what my target's been long term for a while, that I've been discussing at the 98, 80 level to 99 big figure level. If it goes higher from there, I mean, yeah, maybe the end of the year, I don't know. It could take the next 4 months or 5 months for price to get all the way up there. You know, like it's taken 2, 3, 4 months basically to get price to where we are now currently off of this last surge. So I wouldn't expect anything less from this next one. And it's kind of bucking the trend. Now, I mean, there's obviously tons of reasons why this could be happening, and it's all mainly just because of the current U.S. administration and what they're doing globally and everything else. So I'm not going to get into that tonight, but, you know, I'm kind of looking at what happened down here as to kind of what's happening in here. Price does have a very, very repetitive pattern to it, and I think that's just sort of what we're seeing. Yeah, I mean, it may not. I could be totally wrong, but just the characteristics of what I'm seeing here, it kind of almost looks like a bit of a bull flag sort of thing. Price, you know, puts up the big flagpole here, and then it starts creating the flag, and then we're just going to see one more breakout, and it's going to go pop right to the upside. And again, typically the pops run in symmetrical equal distances or equal swings, and there's a very, very high confluence area up in here. Where I believe price is going to be attracted to. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. So anyway, if we run back to the euro, right, if we do see that surge higher, of course you see in here all of these all of these previous lows in here that they never did any stop runs are all going to be tagged out. And if we look at the weekly, you know, if we do the same type of idea, do a symmetrical swing down from the body high to the body lows, and then do roughly the same thing. I'll just take it from this one here. That would again put us into well, pretty much this consolidation area right in here is probably more of a likely target, somewhere right about there, right about the old candle right in there, or maybe a little less, maybe halfway in between. But what number are we at here? 110.80. That's a nice level right in there, about 110.80, give or take. I'm just eyeballing it right now. We can refine this a little bit later, but that's kind of, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood would probably be on the downside of what we'd be looking at. So, you know, again, that's if we see the higher prices in the dollar. So that's kind of what I got on the euro, and you know, I got tripped up this week again. I explained my reasons, and I was looking at this. I was looking at going long on euro. And it was this candle right in here that I got tripped up. It surged up and then rejected, and then the next day the Tuesday candle came in, and I was thinking, okay, well, price is just going to come in, you know, basically do a weekly profile, kind of like this, essentially, just kind of come in, start in Monday, Tuesday creating the low, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we scream up, and then or Wednesday, Thursday anyway, and then Friday kind of comes off. So, you know, a bit like that, and that's kind of what this was starting to set up as. And unfortunately, it just, right, I mean, this is more like, you know, this is really what it is. And then I would imagine Friday, like I was saying to you earlier, we'll probably do, you know, something in and around like that. We may go a little bit lower into Friday, you know, London or New York open, but I would imagine by the time London closes, we would be off of the lows, probably a good, you know, 15 to 25% anyway. So that would be kind of what I'm expecting for Friday. So pound dollar. And guys, if you got any questions or anything like that, again, I say it all the time. I sound like a broken record, I know. I got the chat window up here to my left, so you can certainly shoot me some questions there if you'd like. Pound dollar. This one here has been very, very interesting. Price ran up. Same type of idea. Created its high on Monday and just fell off and didn't look back. Tuesday kind of tried to rally a bit, but Wednesday, Thursday just dumped off. And then Friday, you can see we're starting to dump lower again on Friday. And I'll just put up the day dividers here so you can see where this is Friday's trading now. We're starting a couple of big down candles, and then so far we're trading sideways. I would look, if price wanted to surge back up and maybe come back and just kind of touch off of, I'll get rid of those, sort of touch, see how these lows in here and this low in here sort of coincide. I kind of like that. If price would be interested in coming up, even to this candle low right here, surging up and then seeing if we get a little bit of resistance there and pushing lower one more time, something kind of like this. This is sort of what I'd be looking for. If price breaks through this level, then obviously, you know, all bets are off. So watch. I'm going to be watching this level right here to see if we get any return. So the 13200 level. We'll see if that gets returned to at all. This was the major news event as well too on Monday. There's a ton of news for the pound. They surged price up, ripped it back down, and basically just chopped it sideways for Tuesday, Wednesday, and then a bit of fall off late Wednesday trading, and Thursday again, you know, opened right here and closed pretty much at the exact same level, same as the euro. So it didn't really do anything. Just, you know, essentially took the stops below the market, above the market, and traded off. So I would suggest, you know, let me just actually look at one thing here. If I could, if you'll indulge me. I'm just sort of taking the middle of this range. We could potentially see price trade up to 132.15. I'll just maybe make that just an exact. That could be an option. Typically when you get these sideways consolidation days like this, where they run the stops above and below the market, and hang on one second. Pardon me, I was just sneezing there. Typically when they run these days like this, where they just kind of jam price sideways and just run the stops above and below and don't really go anywhere, they'll trade lower, they'll trade higher, and then typically within a day or two, what they'll do is they may come back up and trade to about the 50% level of that consolidating day, and then they'll fall off in the intended direction. So that's kind of what it could happen anywhere from 13200 to 132.15. Could be somewhere an area where they may want to return back to. And if they do, I will be watching for potential resistance and then more than likely a surge lower again. And again, it may not happen Friday, right? It may happen more so into next week. But with the U.S. dollar surging like that, I'm kind of just of the opinion that that we're probably just going to end up seeing higher prices. Either higher prices or they'll probably just keep consolidating for a little bit longer. I mean, the other thing here right now is if you look at something, and I'm just going to pull this up real quick as well, but I just want to pull up a seasonality, or sorry, a historical seasonal tendency of the U.S. dollar, and give you a potential scenario that that could unfold. So you see here how price comes into the summer months here. So this is kind of the ramp up. This is May into June. So price starts to kind of slow down a little bit, and then July really when summer vacation starts, price starts to fall off, and it continues to drop into September, where it finds some lows into early or mid November, October, and then we get a little bit of rally. What they could be doing, if they are thinking higher prices long term, just because of all the trade wars, and they need to strengthen the U.S. dollar against, like the yuan or something like that, or whatever. What they could do is, sorry, I'm just gonna get rid of this chart. What they could do is just consolidate price. So as prices historically drops this time of year for the next 2 or 3 months, I wouldn't be surprised if they just chopped this thing sideways and just manipulated this and didn't allow it to go any lower than here and just kept it in a trading range for a couple of months, at the very least for the summer months. And then try to negate any downside, further downside to it, and just build sentiment, and then come September, October, start to push this price up again. That could be something very real that happens as well. So anyway, going forward, just with this activity that we've seen here this week, I've got to assume that we're going to continue to see some further upside. Friday, like I say, it could taper off a little bit, and maybe they'll wait for next week to continue to surge it again. Maybe we break out of this price range. Maybe we don't. I don't know. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see on next week. I'll sit down this weekend when I do my weekly review, and I'll have a look at the major news events for next week, find out where we're at and what kind of events are scheduled, and then see if there's any type of volatility that might push this thing one way or another. So anyway, that's kind of the one level I'm looking at on the pound dollar. I was looking at US CAD, and I actually was trading the news on US CAD, and so I don't know if any of you guys were part of my live session on Tuesday, London Open, but I basically said this level right here, and you see these equal highs here, price came up and just failed to take out that high there, and then we traded softer. So this was last week's trading, obviously, and then where are we? Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. So this is Monday's trading, traded down. And then basically London Open, I was saying that when I was doing my live event, I said there's some news on Wednesday morning and at New York Open, and I'm going to wait to put a trade out on there. But what I'd like to see is price come up and tag out these equal highs here at the 131.60 level. And I actually went, maybe I didn't discuss this, but I kind of explained that, or kind of was thinking that we'd see about a 10 pip run above the old highs in here, and I'll just kind of show you in here. That's about 10 pips right there. So price came in on Wednesday. This was London. This was pre-London Open. This was trading through London, and then I'm sorry. This was London Open in here, and you can see here this was actually about 6 a.m. New York time. You can see what price did. This was 10 pips right here. It came up literally 11 pips. Rejected, and I was actually physically sitting there watching price as it was doing this right here, these two candles, and price was surging, and it was a little bit too early, but before that news release, and I wasn't 100% sure that we were going to see that reaction, but price ended up doing exactly what I thought it was going to do. And then by the time I was, and that was actually the day I was leaving for a business trip, and so I was on my way out the door as price was slamming back down in here, and I didn't get a chance to do anything with it. But you can see here it would have been about 100, easy 100 pip trade, and my target was right down just underneath these lows here. I came down, grabbed it, and away they went back up, and they surged it right back up. Now, this is where I got tripped up on the CAD. I was looking at this news event surging it down, and then them coming back up in here and failing right about this level right here, about the 131, about the 131.50 level or so, and that's what I thought we were getting in here. So I went short right on this candle here as it was surging up. I went short. Price came all the way back down. It put me into profit about 20 pips, and then look what they did, and they just bam, and surged it up, and that was it, and it was gone from there. And so that was kind of the manipulation that we saw in the U.S. CAD on Wednesday. Price worked out exactly as I had said. I wish I would have got into that short position here, and unfortunately I didn't. It is what it is. Can't complain about it, but I just thought I'd make you aware that that's kind of what was going through my mind, and it did come out, and it played out perfectly. Like, I think this was 11 pips, so the high was in here was at 131.60, and the high on this candle on this feed here, if I can get that price tag to show up. Come on. Oh, just had it. Come on. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, guys. 131.73. Wow, so, okay, so it technically got it by 3 pips. I thought it was 1 pip, but close enough. That was kind of interesting. 1 second, guys. My computer's all of a sudden getting a resolution change on my computer for some weird reason. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, so that's the U.S. CAD. Again, we see higher prices in the U.S. dollar. We should see higher prices on U.S. CAD. Going forward, price came up, created a couple equal highs, came back down, traded right off of these levels in here, and I was actually expecting a deeper retracement lower, but you can see how price reacted once, twice, right off of this old high in here, and failed to go. I was hoping price would have went a little bit lower. It didn't, just to kind of get back into these old highs in here. It didn't do that. And prices now started to trade away. So I'm looking for higher prices on US CAD, and I'm thinking probably somewhere up into this neighborhood right in here. They'll probably surge. Might do it again, might do it Friday or today. It might wait until next week, but the 132.55 level for sure, I think, will be a target moving forward if it doesn't start running up and taking out those highs anyway. So that's my thoughts on the US CAD. That's really all I had for Forex that I wanted to run through. I'm just going to briefly discuss crude oil. This level here, if you guys have heard me talk about crude oil once or twice, I said this area 100% was getting tagged before it was going any higher, and it's exactly what it did. It finally did it. Crude oil numbers yesterday, on Wednesday came out, and that was this day right here, this big down day. Boom, 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 boom. Took it out. Thursday was again a do-nothing day, and that's when it came down and finally hit my level there at 69.30. The actual low came in at 69.20, so it came in about 10 pips lower than I had anticipated. But nonetheless, that was the area that I was calling for. Now, going forward, we're going to see they could just sit here and wait on price. They could basically do this. You see how price rallied up here, and they came back down once, twice, and just kind of sat price for 2 or 3 weeks in here. They could do that. It could be like this here, where maybe they'll sit here for 2 or 3 days and then decide what they want to do. Under this level here, if they break through 69, I'll clean this up a little bit here, guys, but if they basically break below 68.40, I'll just double check. 68.40, yeah, somewhere right in around there. If they break and close, not a wick, okay? See how price is wicking in here, or we get like a wick down here and a rejection. I'm not looking for a wick. We can have wicks trade through this level. That's fine. But if price actually closes down lower than 68.40, then the next level that I'm going to look at, where I would imagine we're probably going to see some type of support, would be the 66.30 level on the downside. And if we do get support right here, well, then I'll be looking for them to continue this move higher, and it'll just be another step up to the big figure that I was discussing earlier. Whoops, not that level. We already capitalized that level. This one right in there, and that's that 88 level that I was talking about. So that's what I'm looking at on crude oil. But again, if you guys have been following me for long enough, you knew I was calling this move back down, this surge back down to 60. $69.30, and that's exactly how price played out. I didn't trade the crude oil. I don't trade on crude oil inventory days, although I should have, because look at the trade here. Price sitting sideways, and then one beautiful rejection to take out the stops, and then they careen this thing down. That would have been a very, very easy trade. But again, that was I was right in the middle of boardroom meetings at that time, and I had no access to the charts, and so for all you members, I apologize I wasn't able to get that one, but don't worry, because there are lots of setups on crude oil coming. This is just the start of this one here. So plenty of levels that I'll be looking at, and we'll be sharing that going into next week. So that's about what I had to say. Copper, other than copper, I wanted to talk about copper only because copper now is starting to finally do something here. So we came down, and look where the bodies of these candles finished off again. We're back at the highs of this old consolidation level. So creating a little bit of confluence there. They came down, slammed into it once, came back down twice. So what I'd look for would be something kind of like this. If and I kind of outlined this before, what I was looking for. So if price, like in here, price made this low, and well, here, maybe I can try it like this. Price came down, made a low here, which it did right there, and then price surged up one day, which we saw right there. I'd be looking for the next day, or a day or two after, or whatever, come back down and create a failure swing, and that's what I was looking for. Didn't get it, obviously, right? Price came down, slammed down to it once. Didn't see a big reaction at all. It basically closed just a little bit lower than the high of that, and then the very next day, bam, smashed it down. So anybody going long thinking that this was the low, well, they would have got taken out, and just for them to start to rally price up again here. So if they do want to run higher, what I'd be looking at is basically for this, a return. So price has done this, and then I'd be looking for them to come out and potentially get through this area in here. They run up once like this, and then come back down. And again, that failure swing that I was talking about, same type of idea as this move here. And that's where I'd be looking at it. So we'll see if that could be what we're looking for. Basically, see this kind of creating like a double W bottom, or inverse head and shoulders. That's sort of what I'd be looking at. So we'll see what they want to do with copper. And that was the one thing I wanted to just double check, was seasonality and a couple other things on copper. Let's see where we're at, because I think, yeah, copper, we're looking at bullish activity into July, and going right into September. Here, let me bring this over so you guys can see this. So you can see this is the historical expectation for copper. I can throw the 5-year up here. 5-year a little more tight range on it, but you can see the lows come in into June, or early July, sort of where we're at, and then we see that nice surge running up into August and into early September, and then price just kind of flattens out from there. That's again what we could be seeing here, them slamming this price down, taking out all the lows under here, as you can see, and then just for them to start to resume that bullish activity, and then we see that failure swing, right here is what I'm looking. This is what I'm waiting for right here on copper, and then we'll see price start to run up. And look what they left up here. And then this is the thing. This is how you know they're going to come back up, right? You see this, these double tops right here, like almost to the pip. These double tops. That's just a huge sign that says I'm coming back up to grab those levels. So just mark my words, guys. It'll go back up here. It may go a little bit lower. I mean, I'm not trying to come in here and pick the bottom. I'm saying I'm watching for the failure swing to occur. But I'm definitely calling this much higher before the end of the year. So I think that's where we're heading with it. So you can see into here, like this was last year's price action into here. You see that again, same thing from July. You see this big bull move into late August. Like that's what I'm looking for here, going into here. Price came down early July, created the interim sort of retracement, and then just bam, surged. So that's copper. I don't really have any more to say about that. Nothing to trade, nothing to talk about yet. I'm just going to be watching for price to do its thing, and then we'll ease into it. Nothing on cocoa or coffee that I'm interested in. Cotton had a nice up day there on Thursday, or on that's Wednesday's trading. This is Thursday's, and Friday hasn't opened yet. These markets haven't opened yet. Orange juice retraced back down to the old highs in here. I called this level down here. I was looking for price to return back to it, and since it kind of made a bit of a weak rally, I'm not interested in anything in OJ. Sugar has really fallen off. See that false swing I was talking about earlier right here? Boom, that's what I was looking at. We got long all over that and rode a nice little momentum wave back up, and then since has fallen off. I didn't get the higher move I was looking for on sugar, I'll be honest with you. I was a little disappointed. I was hoping we would have seen price rally back up. Again, those equal highs up here, those were the big targets that I was looking for, and it didn't do it. Price actually gapped down yesterday and really took out these lows here and took everyone outside of the market. So we'll see what happens on sugar. It's not entering into an area when price was doing this. This is when we were seeing some bullish seasonality of sugar, and we got a nice move. I was hoping for a higher one. Didn't happen, but it is what it is. Still made a little bit of profit in there, so nothing to worry about there. And then finally, I'm not going to talk about crypto because it's still not doing anything. It's just sitting there. The last one is Nat Gas. I'm looking for price to come down a little bit further. It's almost there. Like I don't want to put in a trade yet on it, but we're almost there. This old low, I'm just going to borrow this here. This old low, whoops, has just about come down and been taken out, and I'm looking for a move lower under this candle right here. We may not get it. I would expect them to, though. I would expect them to wick down any day, just a big wick down rejection, and then I'm looking for higher prices on nat gas. I think just with crude oil and everything else right now. So just so you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now. If you haven't heard in the news, I mean, it's all over the news. Just turn on any, Fox, CNN, whatever. Trump is all over Germany for putting in a natural gas pipeline and coordinating efforts with Russia to buy Russian gas. And that's just going to be starting to right in there and feed feed Eastern Europe. And, Russia's really starting to get a lot of their gas into the European markets there, and despite what the U.S. wants them to do. And so it's going to make things very, very interesting. We could have a little bit of a natural gas war on our hands here. And I say war, and not in the literal sense. I mean like a price war. But I'm thinking we could see these nat gas markets start to surge. We're in the early stages of summer, and we saw a brief little surge right here, kind of ramping up into it. Prices fallen a little bit weaker, and I think we could be surging here pretty soon. So that's the last thing I'm going to show you here. I'm just going to bring up a real quick chart of nat gas and on the seasonal. And where the hell are we here on nat gas? June. Yeah, so we're starting to create our lows here now, as you can see by this. So we're coming into early July, creating the lows. And then we should see some explosive movements coming out here, end of August. I'll actually put up a 5-year on this guy. 5 years a little bit different. You can see they created the lows kind of in July here, and then you can see August starting to surge. And so anyway, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a move higher on nat gas, and I think it's going to be any day now. It really is. But they could chop it sideways. Look what they did here. They just chopped it sideways. Coming down here, they could just run this thing sideways, and then it'll just be a quick, sharp move down, rejection, and will be a big, steep, sharp move higher on nat gas. And again, right, same type of thing with oil. Like look at oil. Where are we? Look at this market on oil. I'm going to go to a weekly on this guy here. Price came down, created the lows. This was obviously when everything was falling apart across the globe. Banking crisis and whatever else, or sorry, not banking crisis, the last recent downturn. They surged price a bit, chopped it sideways, and then just all of a sudden, they came back down, took out one swing low, and bam, surged price. And it's been on a bull run market now for the past year and 3 or 4 months now. And I'm expecting that to continue to ride. And with it, I believe it will bring and pull nat gas with it as well too. So you can see what nat gas is doing. Like, look at this big bull move going into December here. Bam, 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 and then a sell-off. Typically, summer months, end of summer months, we'll see that as well too. Bam, 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 bam. We should see this run higher, and away we go. So that's kind of what my expectations are on nat gas. So that's really about it, guys. I just want to get on and just apologize for this week. It was a bit of a disruptive week in terms of my schedule, and I wasn't able to, because I had business meetings on Wednesday and Thursday out of town. And I had to, I was gone and on the road, and I didn't get a chance to get in front of the markets. But to be honest with you, I mean, like I say, you look at Thursday's trading, really a do-nothing day. The day the trade was on Wednesday, and I did see my setup occur on US CAD. It did happen. Where's my US CAD? I lost it here now. Right here. So, I told you what I was looking for in US CAD on Tuesday. Price did exactly that, shot up, and then it dropped 100 pips. Hopefully you got in on that. I didn't personally. I just, again, I was getting ready to leave for my trips, and it is what it is. So, I'm not going anywhere, though. Next week, I will be in front of the charts all week next week, and, of course, Dave will be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. New York time. He'll be trading S&P and in a few other markets for you. And just as of late, the S&P market has just been on a nice bull run, offering tons of opportunity. Just took out the highs here, so we're going to be expecting some big things coming out of S&P. And so if you haven't yet, jump on Dave's feed. If you haven't before, jump on Dave's feed tomorrow, because like just last week, that was the other thing, guys. Just last week, Dave offered up a monster trade. It was 500 pips. It was like a 3-day trade or something like that, and he got in on this big surge last week. You can see this right here. Price came down. We bought down here at 27.03 was the exact level. Dave put out a signal, 27.03. And we got out somewhere up and around 27. Where were we? It was this candle right here, I believe, 27.59 or so. And you can see here, it was 550 pips or 500 pips or whatever it was. Huge trade. So if you were trading that and you got in on our signal, you would have made a pile of cash in your demo account, of course. No live fund trading here or recommendations for your live account. This is all demo, of course, for liability reasons. I am not a licensed trade advisor, neither is Dave, so these are all our own ideas, but that idea right there would potentially have been very profitable. So again, that's what you can look forward for Dave out of him. So he will be back, like I say, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. New York time. Friday morning, 9 a.m. New York time. I'm going to close out this London Open session for another day. I will be offering a pre-recorded video coming out for the weekly analysis for next week. We see that probably on Sunday, and I'll run through the news events, run through some levels that I'm looking at, see how this week closes off, and we'll go from there. My next live session will be on next Tuesday, London Open. So until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch up to you next week, guys. Thanks very much. Take care.